Welcome back to the deep dive. We've got quite the stack of sources in front of us, articles, some reports, our own notes, and we're going to unpack what feels like a really eventful, maybe even wild recent period for you.
Yeah, it's a real mix.
It is. You've got intense conflict, some very high stakes diplomacy, unrest at home in the U.S., and then almost out of nowhere, this big moment of global celebration.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And our goal here really is to cut through the noise of the headlines from this specific time frame. We want to pull out the most important bits, the surprising facts from all these sources, just to help you get quickly up to speed on what was a pretty pivotal moment.
Okay, let's dive right in then, because things kicked off with some serious geopolitical drama. Our sources are pointing to pretty significant U.S. military action.
Mhm.
We're talking B-2 stealth bombers, submarine-launched cruise missiles, all targeting Iranian nuclear facilities, specifically Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan.
Those are key sites.
Right. And President Trump declared it, quote, very successful, said all the aircraft returned safely. What's the immediate read on a strike like that, targeting those specific kinds of facilities?
Well, what's really striking, I think, is how fast Iran hit back. Almost immediately.
No delay.
Very little. They launched what they called Operation True Promise 3, and this was massive. Sources say around 150 ballistic missiles, plus over 100 drones, all heading towards Israel.
Wow. And the impact.
It was significant. Reports mention around 22 civilians injured in Tel Aviv. And interestingly, those drones weren't just intercepted over Israel. Jordan and Saudi Arabia were involved in shooting them down, too.
Jordan and Saudi Arabia.
That's right. So this immediate reciprocal action, and on such a scale, it suggests maybe a shift in Iran's strategy, a more willingness for direct engagement after a direct attack.
That's a worrying escalation dynamic. So, okay, tensions are clearly flaring. How did the international community react? Our sources mentioned the 51st G7 summit.
Yes, in Kaneskis, Alberta, that was June 16th and 17th.
Right. And the agenda was broad global security, economic recovery. But given the timing, what specifically were they tackling related to, well, everything we just talked about?
Well, connecting it back, they specifically discussed strategies to de-escalate the tensions in the Middle East.
Yeah.
It wasn't just background noise. It was a direct response.
Yeah.
You had global leaders trying to engage with this very conflict.
Trying being the operative word, maybe. How effective can these summits really be when things are moving so fast on the ground?
That's always the question, isn't it? I mean, the aim is a unified front, coordinated messaging. But translating that G7 agreement into actual, tangible de-escalation,
Yeah.
especially with this kind of rapid back and forth,
Hmm.
that's the real challenge.
Yeah, definitely. And while all that's happening on the world stage, things were pretty tense domestically in the U.S., too.
That's right.
Our sources detail major protests breaking out in Los Angeles. This was starting in early June, following ICE raids, immigration and customs enforcement.
Over 1,000 protesters, apparently, clashing with federal agents.
And it got serious, right? The response.
It did.
Yeah.
To give a bit more context, California's governor actually ended up suing President Trump over deploying federal agents. It highlights that, state versus federal tension.
Right.
And you had both the National Guard and U.S. Marines mobilized there. It really shows how deep the divisions were and the kind of multi-level government response these protests triggered. Things escalated fast.
It really paints a picture of a nation grappling with internal conflict while also dealing with major international crises. But amidst all that, quite heavy stuff.
Yes.
Our sources also flag something completely different, a moment of, well, celebration.
Yes. Good pivot.
South Africa, they won their first ever World Test Championship in cricket.
Huge news for them.
Absolutely beat Australia by 5 wickets. Happened at Lord's, the famous cricket ground, between June 11th and 14th. A really historic victory.
And just to add a few details, Aiden Markram was the man of the match. And the prize money wasn't small either, $3.6 million for the winners. Wow. It's a great reminder, isn't it? Even when you've got geopolitical friction, domestic unrest, these moments of human achievement, sport, shared passion, they still happen. They cut through. Offers a bit of a counter-narrative,
Definitely. So quite a journey we've just taken you on. We've covered intense conflict, high-level diplomatic maneuvering, serious internal unrest, and then this moment of sporting triumph. Looking back at the snapshot, what really jumps out for you, the listener?
For me, it's just how much happened in such a compressed time frame. You've got conflict, cooperation, protest, celebration,
Hmm.
all bumping up against each other. It really underscores the complexity, the interconnectedness of everything.
Yeah.
And I think the key takeaway is seeing how these sort of disparate events paint this picture of a world that's just constantly shifting.
Hmm.
It forces you to think about how quickly global dynamics can change and how underneath it all, human life in all its forms just keeps going